Hello, my name is Kathryn, and I am an academic coach at Swoon, and I also work in an administrative position, and I actually have my brother here with me who I hired for the job about a year and a half ago, and I'll let him introduce himself.
Hey everyone, my name's William. I'm a first-year medical student at Virginia Commonwealth University on the East Coast. A little bit about me, I went to UC San Diego for my undergrad and then ended up here. So really excited to be here. I've tutored for a little over a year and I've really enjoyed kind of balancing like my workload in medical school, but also getting to work with younger students. It's really fulfilling.
Yeah, we're in the classroom right now where he learns, and I also went to CSD. So the first question I have for you is, how do you integrate Swoon's holistic approach in your academic coaching?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the most important part of Swoon's holistic approach is not really just teaching the curriculum to the students, but also equipping them with the skills that they need to not only be successful in high school, but also in college. And so, for example, one student that I had was having some struggles with AP World History. And we realized that the content was just one part of the issue. The other part was really kind of categorizing the different assignments and then figuring out how to time manage. And so, working with the student, we created a calendar, and that really helped him kind of create assignments and then get them done in an orderly fashion. And so, teaching these skills like creating due dates on your calendar is really helpful going forward. And I'm glad that student has used that for other classes as well.
What personal qualities do you think that you bring to your role to help connect with the students?
Yeah, so for me, I went to school in California, so we do work with a lot of California students, and I know that the workload is very rigorous. California has a very high standard of academic achievement, especially in high school, and so I personally can empathize with students that have experienced the stress of going to school, especially like in the Bay Area or Los Angeles, where they can be quite competitive. And so, with that personal experience, I really empathize with the students. And the second part is kind of relating to the different motivations of students. I was very interested in history and science. And so when I work with students that have similar interests, I really want to foster that and kind of guide them towards potential careers that they can work with. So instead of it just being a tutoring session, it's also a kind of coaching session for them to ask questions, any questions about career choices or even majors in college. And so we try to kind of weave all these different themes into the session.
Okay, that's a great segue into my next question of how do you balance being both a mentor and a friend to your students while maintaining professional boundaries?
Yeah, that's a tough question because at Swoon we really try to create a personalized education, but we also know that as kind of mentors we do have to relate to students, but also let them know that we're there just for more of a professional role.
Mhm.
And so how I go about that is I first break the ice in the beginning, tell them a lot about me so they know I'm kind of human too. And
Mhm.
I was a student not so long ago. And once they know a little bit about me, then I kind of shift into the more academic parts of what we're trying to work on.
Mhm.
And then I let the students open up to me too. And so I think it's kind of a tug and war of me asking questions about their curriculum, but also in between the sessions, learning about them. And so by the time I've done maybe 6 to 7 sessions with a student, I could say I know a lot about them, and that helps me
Mhm.
tailor the work that I do with them to kind of help them in the best way possible.
What do you think your students would say is your most defining characteristic as a coach?
I would say my students would say I'm the best communicator,
Mm.
and I really take pride in that because I know it can be super stressful when you have assignments due, or you have last minute questions that are not maybe pertaining to a single session. And so being available to my students via email or even text message during these times, it really, I think, alleviates a lot of stress for these students. And so I would say just being available for them and really guiding them throughout their assignments or their homework or even the night before an exam. I take a lot of pride in that.
How would you say that you celebrate the small wins with your students that reflect growth in their confidence and self awareness? Because it's really hard when you're kind of in the thick of it for them to realize that even getting a better, maybe 1 point or 2 points higher on an assignment is quite a win as opposed to, getting going from a F to an A.
Yeah.
How would you say that you can celebrate those small wins with your students?
I think the most important thing in celebrating wins is just talking about the progress where they started and
Yeah.
seeing the incremental growth that they're making. It's not really about the end product, but it's the fact that the student feels that they're making, progress towards their
Hmm.
goal. And so encouragement can start as long as there's improvement. Encouragement, those two go together really well. And so I really try to celebrate whether it's an exam or a test, and try to ask the student what they learned, what helped them, and what didn't. And so it's a constant work in progress to see what skills they need to kind of sharpen, and also what skills that they've accomplished in these last few sessions.
Great. And then could you talk a little bit about the different subjects that you do cover for Swoon? Because you are quite, I mean, quite multifaceted, and you have an interest in history, but you also attend medical school. So you do work with a lot of different personalities and have levels of engagement. What are some of the academic subjects that you've coached
Yeah,
over
of
the
course.
past year?
So I have a lot of interest. Obviously, now in medical school, I'm more science oriented, but I really enjoy teaching science because I'm learning that every day. History, where that started, was just in high school. It was one of my favorite classes. We had a great
Mhm.
teacher, and so in my free time, also do like to learn a lot of history. And so that's something, because I have a passion for. I feel like I can get students excited about it. And so primarily, I do AP World History, AP Biology, AP Psychology, and some level of math. But in medical school, you don't need to know much beyond calculus. So my peak there is in calculus, but I do enjoy teaching many different subjects.
Okay, great. And I have one last final question for you. How would you say that you tailor your coaching methods to fit distinct learning styles and temperaments of individual students?
Yeah, so the most important thing is being cognizant, first of all, of what the students are experiencing. Sometimes I'll ask questions, and
Hmm.
students are unsure of what they're struggling with. So it's just being very observant during the sessions. And that's usually what those first few sessions are for.
Hmm.
Once I figure out what the kind of challenges are, or from the students, if they tell me, then I start finding kind of novels, ideas of how to integrate that into their curriculum. So one student that I was helping with their UC essays and their Common App essays was having significant writer's block. And we
Hmm.
worked on, I kind of assigned him things, but he was still having trouble just creating writing that was answering the prompt. And
Hmm.
so instead of just giving the traditional advice of just, hey, write about this, I instead created little themes or little ideas of storytelling, and I let him tell me stories throughout his high school. And once he told me stories about different things that were significant to him, then I started creating a map of different themes. And once he saw the kind of thematic expressions throughout his writing, then he was able to integrate that. And so overcoming the writer's block for a student, and then inspiring him and showing him that he can actually write on his
Hmm.
own without my help was really impactful. And I'm really glad that we were able to get all of those essays submitted. And now he feels like a much more confident writer, not just for college apps, but also going forward for college level writing.
Yeah, definitely. Writing is something that no matter what you do, you will have to do for the rest of your life.